A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant move that has sparked intense debate, the House of Representatives has passed the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility (SAVE) Act, a bill that requires proof of U.S. citizenship for individuals registering to vote in federal elections. The bill, which has been hailed by Republicans as a necessary step to ensure election integrity, passed with a narrow margin of 220 votes in favor and 208 against. For Democrats crossed party lines to support the legislation, which is now headed to the Senate, where its future remains uncertain. The SAVE Act has drawn sharp criticism from voting rights advocates and most congressional Democrats, who argue that it could disenfranchise eligible voters and create unnecessary barriers to the voting process. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has labeled the bill dead on arrival in the Senate, asserting that it undermines the very foundations of democracy. Schumer stated, "The Republican SAVE Act reads more like a how-to guide for voter suppression." This legislation comes on the heels of ongoing national discussions about voting rights and election security, particularly in light of former President Donald Trump's repeated claims of widespread voter fraud during the 2020 election. Proponents of the SAVE Act argue that it will bolster confidence in the electoral process by ensuring that only U.S. citizens participate in federal elections. Representative Chip Roy, the bill's author, emphasized the importance of maintaining the integrity of the voting system, stating, "In order to preserve this republic, we must uphold what it means to be able to vote in a U.S. election." The bill mandates that states require individuals to provide documentary proof of citizenship, such as a passport or birth certificate, in person at their local election office when registering to vote. Additionally, it requires states to remove non-citizens from existing voter rolls, despite the fact that non-citizen voting is already illegal in federal and state elections. Critics of the legislation, including various voting rights organizations, have expressed concern that the SAVE Act could disenfranchise citizens who do not possess the necessary documents or who face challenges in obtaining them. For instance, married women may encounter difficulties if their current last names do not match those on their birth certificates, which could hinder their ability to register. When We All Vote, a voting advocacy group founded by former First Lady Michelle Obama, condemned the bill, asserting that it is another attempt to silence voters and decrease participation in elections. Michael Waldman, president of the Brennan Center for Justice, echoed these sentiments, calling the SAVE Act one of the worst pieces of voting legislation in American history. He urged the Senate to reject the bill, warning that it would put voting out of reach for millions of American citizens. The Brennan Center estimates that over 21 million voters may not have the required documents readily available. Despite the opposition, supporters of the SAVE Act maintain that it provides states with the flexibility to address the concerns raised by critics. House Speaker Mike Johnson defended the bill, stating, "You have to prove your identity because only U.S. citizens should vote and decide U.S. elections." The passage of the SAVE Act in the House has reignited the national debate over voter ID laws and election integrity, with Republicans arguing for stronger regulations to combat voter fraud, while Democrats and voting rights advocates warn against the potential for voter suppression. As the bill moves to the Senate, it faces a challenging path ahead, requiring bipartisan support to overcome the 60-vote threshold needed for passage. The four Democrats who voted in favor of the bill, Representatives Jared Golden, Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, Henry Cuellar, and Ed Case, have expressed varying degrees of support, with some acknowledging the bill's flaws but emphasizing their commitment to ensuring that only U.S. citizens participate in elections. Golden, in particular, argued that the legislation includes accommodations for individuals facing challenges in the registration process. As the political landscape continues to evolve, the fate of the SAVE Act remains uncertain, with both sides bracing for a contentious battle in the Senate. The outcome of this legislation could have significant implications for voting rights and election processes across the nation as the 2024 elections approach. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.